Ooh. Hello, hello, hello.
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 Hello, hello. It's so funny because I actually went to the wrong Zoom room um, for my own webinar. And for a moment, I was thinking, oh my God, nobody is coming.
You have too much going on.
I just went to the wrong place, my regular Zoom link. And but here you are, all of you are here. Wow, let's have a look at you guys. And by the way, my voice is normally not like this. This is like the special effects. I got it for free, and yeah, I guess it's just a little extra feature today. But normally it's a bit more rounded. But yeah, I guess this is what we have to deal with. So, wow, guys, have a look at you. Oh, welcome here, and I'm so happy to see you. Let's see who is here. I see a lot of. I just look closely. I see a lot of new faces and a lot of familiar faces too. Let's have a look. Hey, Judith and Suzanne and Alexandra is here. And Andre is here. I see some people from the Lick It Challenge, which is an online challenge we're doing with my book Lick It. And I see some people from the Food and Design Dive and the Advanced Food and Design Dive. And I see a lot of, oh, I even see some people that I haven't seen in real life for a very long time. That's so wonderful. And a lot of people I think I have never seen. So maybe you could just type in the chat, like, where are you joining from right now? Where are you right now? Hi, Ines. Good to see you. Amazing. Where are you? And also, would you like to mute yourself for this session? Just because we're here with 88 people, it might be easy if you mute yourself so that everything stays calm and clear. And let's have a look at this. Wow, guys. Montreal, Calans-Oog, Switzerland, Venezuela, Italy, Ecuador, Amsterdam, UK, Switzerland, Amsterdam, Münster, Antwerp, Mexican based in Spain, Porto, Aachen, Valencia, Switzerland, Canada, Germany, South Africa. Marike van der Poel joins from San Francisco. Sorry, Italy, Brighton, Paris, Switzerland again. Denmark, Charlotte, and you work in theater. That's really wonderful to know. France, Switzerland, in Lucerne. Hi, I will be coming to you soon. Breda, Amsterdam, Lisbon, Spain, Thailand, Dominic. Wow, isn't it nighttime there right now, Dominic? Istanbul, Faroe Islands, amazing. Florida, Switzerland, Poland. Oh, Agatha, did we see each other at the Undiscovered Festival, which was so amazing? And some Lisbeth in Dodewaard. That's really cool. Netherlands. Hi, kids. Good to see you off the sailboat. Budapest. Wow, amazing, everybody. I honestly have to say, I feel so wealthy, like spending this moment with all of you here, all of you people from all over the globe. And I think the reason that you came here is because there's something that links us together, even though we are very different. I think many of us work in creative industry, or we feel we are creative. We might not work in creative industry yet, but we might feel related to it. Is that true? Are you all creatives? It might be nice to just share, like, briefly, like, what are you doing? And there is something so interesting, I think, with creatives, and you can just type in the chat if you feel like it. Like, what are you what kind of creative are you? I read theater just now and design, eco artists. That's cool. So, and you might not be like a regular creative. You might be in gastronomy, which I think is creative as well. So it doesn't matter whether you are actually working there or not. But the reason why I invited you all here to this little Zoom room today does have to do with that, with being a creative. And let's have just a little look what you're writing here. Photography, trend research, food photographer, gastronomy, photography and food. Ooh, the food side's so nice, related to creativity. Textile artists, ceramics, invent new products. Cool. Urbanism strategist, program maker, food culture identity, artist, performing. Cool. Wow. Wow. So many amazing, amazing people we have here. Sensorial theater maker. Cool. I don't know, guys. I'm reading this, and I hope you are as well. Culinary explorer, drawing, printing, working as a teacher for young kids, 3D food printing, photography, art history teacher, guide, researcher. Wow, food stylist, food education. Woo-hoo-hoo. Guys, shall we just like start a band or something? We have so many cool people here in the house. But the reason you're here is because I invited you here because I am this year, I'm celebrating my 25th anniversary working in food and design. And in these 25 years, obviously, I've met many other creatives. I have a lot of colleagues, and I also coach and mentor a lot of creatives. And I also teach in art schools. I have been head of the food and design department at the Design Academy in Eindhoven for 8 years. So I meet a lot of amazing creative people. And I think actually, if you are a creator, then you do something extraordinary because you bring things or services or experiences into this world that didn't exist before. And I think that's really such an amazing thing to do, to be a creator, to not just be a consumer passively consuming things. You are creating, you are bringing things to life. And I think it's so strange because, first of all, I think society doesn't actively understand and truly appreciate this ability as much as it should, because so many people could never do the things that you do. So it's like a unique thing. And on the other side, I think that people who are bringing such amazing things into the world, they should also feel powerful, right? Because you are a creator and you need energy to create. But even though this might be something we long for, what I see around me, what I have seen around me, and also what was part of me for a very, very long time, a very frustrating long time, is that I see that a lot of creatives, even though they are very sensitive to beauty and they're bringing things to this world that really matter, many creatives, maybe because they are so sensitive, they also struggle with certain things. And initially at the very beginning, I thought it was just me. I don't know. Do you recognize that? Thinking, oh yeah, I'm the only one who struggles with this, who doesn't want to get out of bed because I fear that it will be too much, right? Do you have that sometimes too, that you think, oh, it's just me? I'm the only one. Agatha says, yes. Yeah, right. Oh, yes, lots of yeses here. Paula says yes. Marta says yes. Cecilia says yes, absolutely. Duh. And here we are right now, 100 people from all over the world. We are not alone. We are not alone. And I think this is something, the feeling that you're alone is also because in general, we might see it with other people, but we also tend to kind of hide it because we want to show all is well. And then we look at social media and we see people being all successful and we think, well, they're doing well. And when we go in arts and design education, then the attention goes to how you develop your skills, right? You need to develop your skills. You have classes in I don't know, in design and painting and whatever kind of things you were studying, photography and all these things, but you don't really get classes in your mental well-being, stability, how to use your creative force as a force instead of as a source of frustration. So this is something that I started to notice. And I didn't notice it first because first I thought it was just me. And it took me many years of feeling so bad about myself and feeling embarrassed about things and always replaying things in my mind or finding it hard to start a project or feeling overwhelmed because there were so many things to do at the same time. So, and I thought that was normal. I thought, well, apparently. Well, first I thought, apparently there's something wrong with me. That was my first thought, because I would always think it was probably my own fault. I should have paid attention more. That was a thought that I had. Like, I should have done better. I should have paid more attention. And I also normalized it. I thought, well, I choose to be a creative, so that's a hard job. So I also just need to deal with it. And do you recognize that you kind of normalize this idea, um, of having chosen for something, and then you kind of put up with it because you think, yeah, like life isn't all roses, right? And so I just have to maybe in the future I will figure it out. Yeah, Marike says, especially when you have to lead a creative team, it's hard because you have to support them too. Yeah, Andrika says it still hurts when struggling with it. Yeah, yeah. And so, thinking that it was normal, I also didn't really change anything because I thought, well, if I might want to go to a coach or something, but I don't have time for that, right? I don't have time. And I don't really know how to deal with that. And probably it will cost money. So I had all these excuses to not change. But one of the reasons why I didn't really change was also because it's kind of safe as well. It's kind of safe to know, even though it's counterproductive, you don't know what will be beyond there. You don't know if you're going out of your comfort zone, what will you find there, right? So I stayed inside. And so I stayed inside until it was really too hard. And I was on the verge of breakdown. And it's so silly that you need to go all the way there before you start to change. It's also kind of unnecessary, but apparently the human brain works like that sometimes, especially if you think, yeah, but suffering is kind of noble. Like, oh yeah, suffering is good. I don't know, do you feel that sometimes that you need to, like, oh yeah, to earn my money, I need to suffer. I couldn't just like earn my money like that. Like, no, that would be crazy. I need to fight for it. Is that some of you might have that? I'm sure not everybody does. Yeah, Megan says wearing a mask of high performance day in, day out, it's exhausting. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's also a kind of blame it when you are burned out creatively. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing your thoughts, guys. I really appreciate that. Too young to retire, haven't felt like I've worked hard enough to take a break. Yeah, suffer is a fetish in capitalism. Yeah. Yeah. And it says all the people who do cool things seem to suffer, so it must be normal. That's crazy, right? Yeah. And we also like to tell to each other, like we like to say, oh, I'm so busy, I'm so busy. Like, oh, how are you? Yeah, I'm busy, busy. If you're not busy, then people are like, what? But it just means you're talking to the wrong people. Like there are other people too who are saying, are you busy? Oh my God, you don't have to be. I guess it says, busy is the new stupid, my student once says. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you normalize that, then you also do not question it. And I think that's really kind of it's harmful and it's also unnecessary. And I'm not saying that like the moment I found the way to change it, that suddenly everything changes. Actually, what is changing is you. And that's also the cool thing. You don't need to change how the world works because you can't, and that would be exhausting. But you can change how your brain works. You can change how your mind works. And this is something that many people are not so aware of, that we actually know as creatives, we know how it feels when our mind is in flow, right? We know how it feels when we have this spark of an idea. We know it's a fantastic feeling. We could even call that feeling now. Shall we do that? I'm actually just freewheeling here. I didn't plan to do this, but I think, Suzanne is saying like taking wandering time feels like cheating. Yeah. Amazing, amazing things you're saying here. So we could do that right now. We could actually, would you like to do that? Would you like to just like have this feeling of that you get to this spark of inspiration? We can do that. Let's do it for a second. It just takes like 5 minutes. All right. So what we do is, well, simply close our eyes. And we close our eyes and we breathe in deep and out, deep in and out. And for a moment, we realize that there is no past, because right now we are here. And in this present time, we're like a little dot, a little moment that has no future and no past, because it doesn't exist. We only exist in the now. And while we're drifting in that little dot of being here right now, you can actually feel that somewhere you had this tremendous spark of inspiration before in your life. There was a moment where you felt like you were hit by lightning, that you thought, oh my, I know what to do. I feel so inspired. And where you passionately knew what to do, what to take the next step. And in this present moment that you are right now, this little dot that you're floating on, you can call that moment back, that moment from the past where you knew exactly what to do, where you felt so fired up because you were set on fire. You felt like lightning hit you. And if you can recall that moment, you can now let it kind of sink inside yourself. And every time you breathe, you allow to link your feelings of today to the feelings that you had then. You feel how you felt then. You might even be able to smell what you smelled then, and you see what you saw then. And some people do not really see anything in specific, but they can't feel it. And while you let that feeling grow and grow, you can actually feel it physically in your body. You can feel it in your belly and in your chest, maybe even in your shoulders, maybe going up through your spine, coming out of the top of your head, the crown of your head. And you take a deep breath in, and you let it become as large as it can. And now you open your eyes. Okay, guys, did you feel a spark of inspiration? And just type in the comments that were you able to connect to that? And I'm aware that this was very short. Not everybody is so quickly able to kind of retrieve that. But it's a really interesting thing to do. And I see, feels good, felt the spark come back again. Yes, yes, feel energy, wonderful feeling, yes. Chris says, couldn't really get into it. That's okay. It's something that, like, this was just a few minutes. If you can actually get into it, if someone guides you for a longer period of time. This was just a little taster. Susan says, filled up my body, light feeling. Megan, my mind drifted to my last vacation. Michael says, cold as energy rushed through from the soles of your feet. Amazing. Specific moment to look back upon. Yeah, amazing. Wow, it really worked with you guys. Dorothee says, it was a long time ago that I felt a sparkle, so could not get into it. That's okay, that's okay. And Charlotte said, I cried because it was so clear that I forgot all about it. Well, guys, this is just a few minutes that we do this. You're in a Zoom meeting. Some of us, we don't know each other so well. So if you didn't really get into it right now, that's okay. Because I know that it can work. And I know that if you just take a little bit of more time, you can actually relate to those kind of things again. The reason why I wanted to do this is to make you feel that inspiration doesn't even have to come, or any feeling can actually be disconnected from an actual event. And that's what you can train when you start to understand how your brain works. Because the brain works in quite a simple and predictable way. And when you're a creative, you might think, well, I need to wait for inspiration. I need to wait for this creative spark. Maybe you have your perfectionism in your way. But when you start to train to trigger certain feelings, certain pushes of emotion without having an actual thing next to you that you need to link that to, then you actually are able to make yourself already be in flow before you even start working. And that is so incredibly useful that I want everybody to know this. I want all creatives to be able to be really capable of understanding how their brain works, because I think that would raise so many struggles. And I also, I'm going to share with you today my 3-step creative resilience method. It's a really simple way to get started with this. And I also, but before we do that, I just have some questions I want to ask you. First of all, many of you have sent me emails, very beautiful and personal emails, sharing your struggles as a creative. And I just want to tell you, I read them all, and I really appreciate you for sending it. So I just want to say thank you. I will respond to you as well, but there are quite a few, so I'm not that quick. But I will respond to you. But before we continue, I just would like to ask you, when you came on board here, there must have been something that drove you to this webinar, some reason, some like struggle that thing that you're struggling with. So maybe you can, sure, Marika, you can turn off your video. You can just write very briefly in the chat, just for us also to feel that we're not alone. Like, what are the things? And these can be small, you know, it doesn't have to be that you're on the verge of a burnout. You can just, what are the things that you think, well, this is something that I really don't like about being a sensitive pirate. This is something that I would like to improve on. So just type it in the chat. What are the things that you would think, well, this is something that I do not like about my beautiful sensitivity. Jacopo says the stigma of the struggling artist. Yeah. Feeling unsafe around people that want ideas or inspiration. Yeah. Sometimes feel frustrated when I feel too drained to be creative. Yeah, Dominique, I think many people feel that. Feeling less worth. Having a mid-career crisis and wondering where the magic went. I realized my job has become less and less about creativity. Yeah, it's a very good insight. Hard for me to work for myself. It's easier to do it for others. I postpone and plan my plans and dreams. Hendrika says that it is a negative trait. Yeah. Wow. And that is such a shame because it really isn't. And I'm going to get deeper in that later on. The feeling that I'm not good enough, my ideas are not big or good enough. Yes. So it's kind of an imposter syndrome, right? Always having more ideas than you can execute. Yeah, that's a very common one. Being too sensitive can be awkward and timing is not always good. Thinking too deeply sometimes made me deeply sad. Golfam, hi Golfam. Being in a creative rut can be discouraging and draining. The reason, by the way, why I'm reading these, because I know you can read, it's for the people who are joining this in replay. So I know that there are many people who will see this in replay. Hello to you in replay too. So that's why I do this. Charlotte says, saying out loud that I'm an artist, I am creative enough. Yes, you are. Procrastinating because it never feels like the right time, stress of having to perform, self-imposed but socially upheld, feeling I need to be like the others. Can't control my perfectionism. I have to believe that I have to save the world. Yes, that is a big one. I broke my wrist last week and I realized how much I love and miss my right hand. Oh yeah, I would miss my right hand too. And that I took for granted and wanted to be and appreciate my creativity much more. Taking your ideas seriously when the people around might not. Yeah, that's a very important one. Feel very lonely when I'm doing creative work. Need a lot of input from people, but also lose a lot of energy. Slowed down by constant doubts, procrastinating, fear of failing. Yeah. Justifying that the creative process is not only creative and artistic about being paid for it. Yes. Learning how to stop tolerating. That's a big one. Yeah. Overwhelmed, easily affected by other people's emotions. Yeah. Panic when I'm not quick to create or produce something. Yeah. It's like as a child, we could just make stuff, right? And then when you become a professional, then whoop, there's this kind of friction that you need to be productive. Yeah. I blame myself for being too sensitive, sometimes wish to be more superficial and feel less things. Yeah, I can imagine you'd say that. Although I think there are different ways. There are ways that you can still be sensitive and really feel everything, but do not make these feelings lay on top of you or make it heavy, which is very important. Amazing. There are a lot of chats, so I don't read everything. Competition between having to be organized and remember project management and find space to be creative. Yeah, that is a very common frustration. So I generally don't want to go too deep into these negative feelings, because I can imagine just now you were in, I feel inspired, and now you're in, these are the things that drain me. But I also think it's important that we need to be honest with ourselves, and that we also need to be, and I hope that you find that this space is a safe space. Like, we are all in a way dealing with similar things in our own ways, in our own unique ways. And so going in this, when you think about, like, what are you struggling with? I would like to ask you, in what way is this thing that you're struggling with? In what way is it affecting you? What if you would still struggle with this in 5 years? Like, how many things would you have missed? Or how would it affect the people that you would love? Can you think about that? Like, in 5 years, if you're still feeling that your perfectionism is in your way, how would that influence your work? How would that influence yourself? How would that influence the people you love? Because I know that previously, when I was still in the dark, that's how I felt, honestly. I really had a hard time connecting to people, for example, at parties, because I just felt so shy on the inside. And I would be replaying all these stories in my head, and it would take me so much energy that I was always kind of tired. And I think being always a little bit tired is not really helpful for your relationships, for example. B says, what a waste. Michael says, slowing me down, causing me to distract myself into other time sense opportunities, frustrated that I'm not in the place that I want to be. Dorothee says, it's 5 years, feeling depressed, I failed myself. And you're actually not, Dorothee. The thing is that if this happens, if there are things that you just don't really get a grip on, it's not really your fault. Because how can you know how to train your mind if no one ever taught it to you? And this is something that I thought about a lot, because I felt the same. I felt that it was my own fault until I came across ways to start to train my brain and to start to feel light and to get rid of all these ideas that like weighed upon my shoulders. Because what I have noticed in the practice that I started to do, and the practice that eventually I also teach, what I have noticed is that it's not about gaining new skills. It's not about learning new and more things. It's really about letting go of all the things that stand in your way, which is actually mostly yourself. And it's really about releasing things, more a reductive kind of practice than it is going to learn more or new skills. And I'm not saying that's always easy, because if you are feeling like you're a failure, for example, then you have trained your mind to tell you you're a failure for many, many years. So you will also practice, not for that many years, but you have to kind of repeat to yourself and connect to the version of you that you were in the past, who was feeling innocently creative, who was feeling full of energy and excited, who was feeling that you could just take on the world, because you also have been there. So my practice is really about reminding people of things that they actually already know. And for me, this is so cool because I started doing this in the pandemic, just because I noticed so many people were struggling, and because I knew that the practices that I had been learning and creating for myself were so useful. So I started in the pandemic just as a kind of little pandemic gift. I started teaching creative strategies for sensitive pirates. And this is now already 4 years ago. And every year I have been doing the course, and I have been doing multiple courses every year in the beginning. And now I know it really works. It really works. And it is so amazing that you can, all the things that you're writing down, like, and all the effects that it has. So it's not just the procrastination, what is bothering you. It's actually the feeling of guilt, or the feeling of embarrassment, or the feeling that you're not good enough. That is what is bothering you. Or the missed time that you were actually present and bubbly with your friends, or with your spouse, or with your children, because your mind was in a state of frustration. And so my next question after this one, after asking you, like, can you imagine where you would go to if this would continue? My next question is, and maybe first take a deep breath. And now you're thinking, oh, is it going to be something horrible or something happy? Suspense. Sorry. My next question is, if there would be a way to uplift, because that's what it is, it's uplifting this thing that stands in your way of being a powerful, sensitive pirate who doesn't struggle with the sensitivity, then how would your life be then? And you could think of in the next 5 years, but you could also think about in the next 2 months. How would your life be? And I'll just make a pause here so you can think and write it in the chat. Do some special effects with coughing. It's just to distract you guys. Structured, precise, focused, and boring. Oh, would it be boring? That's an interesting thought. Because it's up to you if you make it boring. A relief, alive, so much lighter, but I realize I'm scared of the people that would come for my light. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. And actually, that's something that that also is like, I cannot put all of that now in this webinar. I'm sharing one strategy. But in the Creative Strategies for Sensitive Pirates course that's starting on April 19th, those kind of things we are addressing as well. So how to like be like a beacon of light without being bothered by anything or anyone, because it just glides off of you. It's really about kind of applying spiritual Teflon to yourself, like, ooh, everything, like negative comments, they just fall off of you. It's like ducks. They have this this little layer on their feathers. So when ducks go in the pond, they get wet, but when they come out, like, they're never wet, right? The water just falls off. So that's really something that we're working on as well. Joyful and productive, light, uplifting, amazing. It would be, and is super exciting. Yes, feeling confident, already smiling now, thinking of it, will be just great. Feeling the power again, amazing, glowing, fun, productive, balanced, feeling satisfaction and sense getting from my work and life. Judith is asking, can you repeat the question? So what if you would get rid of the things that you are struggling with or that you feel frustrated by? It doesn't have to be big. if that would be gone, like, how would you feel then? Like, what would happen? What is the difference? Feeling connected, channeling my superpower, full of contentment, joy, and sparks. Light, fun, expand my being. Whoa, 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 guys. We do need to start a band here. Open, fresh, inspiring, connected to my own creativity and like-minded people. Wow, amazing. Spiritual Teflon, yeah, less tired, feel unshackled. Oh, yes, free. Well, yeah, I like, least I like to use the word sovereign. Like I feel that I am a sovereign creative. I don't have to answer to anybody. And still I can be kind. That's a cool combination. And yeah, enjoying life, being able to really use my power. Wow, wow. That is, I have to say, it gives me goosebumps to read this. Like it gives me goosebumps that all of you have this vision inside of you, of yourself. And it can be a small change and it can be a big change, but it is all there and it is all possible. So I want to share with you today one very simple tool that I use a lot myself. I gave it the name Creative Resilient Method because it needs to have a name, right? And it works like this. I use it a lot when I feel that I have too many things going on in my work. And when I have too many things going on in my work, I have the tendency to not know where to start because there are too many things. It happens a lot after holidays. Do you recognize that? So you have holidays and you're like, ooh, holidays. Holidays are gone. And then you're like, oh my God, where to start? Especially, Marta has goosebumps too. Yes, it is amazing, right? What we're capable of. Yes, so you're, yeah, sorry, you have this heap of work. I always imagine it like a heap of work. And then especially when you want to be creative, your mind doesn't need that because when your mind sees a heap of work, the mind will go instantly into beta brainwaves. Beta brainwaves are very practical and very useful if you want to do stuff. Like if you want to, I don't know, put numbers in a calculation machine, or if you want to pay attention, it's really useful. But for creative work, you need to have a kind of different mindset, which is more into alpha brain waves, maybe even going to theta brain waves. These are the brain waves sometimes that you sometimes get, for example, when you take a shower or when you go for a walk, or it's different with everybody. Some people have it when they're cooking, for example, but you also get those brain waves when you go into meditation or when you're daydreaming. And these are the brain waves sorry, that you need to do creative work. But you see that pile of work and your brain goes like, better, better, better. So you kind of feel confused and overwhelmed. And before you know it, you're just binging Netflix instead of doing what you need to do, right? It can happen. So the first thing in those kind of cases, and it's not only after a holiday, it's also just like starting my work or just when I want to do a new project, or in any moment that you want to get out of a kind of freeze state. That's really it, where you want to kind of transition into an active state. So Chris, you're so there. Are you in the Netflix binge watching situation? Sorry. So the first thing that I do in that case is something that is so simple, but we don't realize that enough. Because when you're looking at this pile of work, what does your brain do? Your brain starts thinking about the future. Your brain starts thinking about the things that need to be done. Your brain starts thinking about What if I can't make it in time? And maybe I just have a few hours because I need to pick up my kids from school. So your brain is already kind of going ahead of you into the future. And sometimes your brain might also go to the past. Your brain might think of past experiences where you had to deal with a lot of work and where you were struggling. And so you're fearing that maybe. So the first thing that I try to do, or that I do, is going to the now. And I know this sounds too obvious, but I know very little people who really do, very few people who really do this. Because if you think only about right now, then you will notice that actually, and I'm looking at your little screens, I don't see anybody with a weapon behind you. I don't see a lion behind you. I think right now everything's quite good, right? I think most of you are smiling. I mean, let's see if there are more videos. There are lots of videos off, but most of you are smiling. Everything's quite good. So it's really just a 5-minute thing where I just need to focus on right now. So I breathe and I listen to my breath, and I am becoming aware of my bum on my chair, of my feet in my shoes. It's very simple, very, very, like it's a regular meditation practice, but many people forget about how simple it is, because stress comes from thinking about the future or thinking about the past. But there's no stress in the present moment because you're just sitting here. You might need to fart. And the cool thing about a Zoom session is that you can fart. So be my guest. Fart in my Zoom session. But that's all. And once I've done that, and you'll notice it's quite hard, especially if you're not so trained. It's quite hard because your mind will go and think about, no, I don't have time for that because I need to think about all these things that I need to do, right? This is a trap. Don't fall into that trap. Because once you find yourself in the right place, you can deal with that pile of work so much easier, and you can get active. So the second thing that I do after 5 minutes is another 5 minutes. I'm thinking of all the things that I like. So the first thing I call now, I just call the action of now. And the second thing I call the action of yes. And I just start to think about all the cool things that I have that I have done in the past. Now I can think of the past, by the way. So after the 5 minutes now, I think about all the cool things that I have done, all the nice things that there are in my life, like you guys and you sending me emails. I really, really like that. I really appreciate that. And I think about having Wi-Fi. I'm happy having Wi-Fi. And I think about having a nice cup of coffee. It doesn't have to be big things. And I think about the projects that I really, really enjoy to do. And you can think about them. You can also write them down. This is called active appreciation. Training your mind that actually everything's good. There's a lot of good things in your life. Like having hair on your head. It's a nice thing. Not everybody has that. I don't know. I'm just looking at you now. Maybe you don't. And then you have other things to appreciate. And I know this is also sounding like so simple, but in order to be creative, like it's actually I'm just looking at Alexandra, thinking about the session we had yesterday for the Advanced Food and Design Dive, where we also talked about like what is the passion killer for creativity. And a passion killer for creativity is thinking about a lack of time, a lack of money, a lack of energy, a lack of health, everything that you think that you lack, that's like the passion killer. Like it's like a very sexy person that you think, ooh, this is a very sexy person. I'd like to do some nice things with this sexy person. And the sexy person is coming towards you. And then the sexy person is looking you in the eyes and then saying, you know, my body is full of bed lice. And then you're like, oh, I don't really like that. That's the passion killer. And that's what happens to your creativity. When you start to think of a lack of time, a lack of money, a lack of freedom, a lack of connection with people. And that, so you need to make sure that you fill this right now moment that you just created, you fill it with abundance. You have an abundance of Wi-Fi. You have an abundance of beautiful sunlight and all the other nice things that you can think of. And then the third thing that you do after you've done that, you just close your eyes for another 5 minutes and you see yourself already accomplishing this project that you are about to do. So you already imagine that it's done. And you imagine that it's amazing. And you imagine that it's there and you can even see it in front of you. You imagine presenting that project to your client or to anyone, or making that dinner and having happy guests, for example. You imagine it already done. And you really feel it, you live it. And this is really because you are so sensitive that you can also do this. This is how you form your sensitivity into your superpower. Because if you imagine yourself first, you're in the now, there is no stress because there's no past and future. Then you allow all the amazing things that you already have in your life to really fill you up with energy. And then you imagine the project already done. Then it's so easy to start working. There is one little trap that you need to be sure not to fall into. Then the moment you decide to start working, you put away all the work that you don't do right now, and you only have the work that you do right now in front of you. And this is a very little, very useful tool that it's so simple that it, like, I needed to give it a complicated name, like the creative resilience method, because otherwise people won't think that it was good because it's so simple. But isn't it true that we often overlook the simple things in life? That we overlook simplicity? That we just take those things for granted? So let me know, do you think you can try this tomorrow before you start working? Great, guys, and let me know. Now, Simone, yes. And yes, Andre, simple is the hardest to achieve. Yeah. So I'm aware that that many of you might not have so much time, but if you have any questions about this little method, then you can ask them now, but you can also send me an email. I see such a great personal technique, but prohibited by my workplace must be multitasking. You must be multitasking. I don't know. Do you must? Oh, Anna says, I didn't understand the trap you talked about in the end. So a trap that can happen is when you do this, then when you see again the pile of work or all the emails in front of you, then your mind might be trained to go in your old ways of thinking again. So that's why I would suggest to try and really take one step at the time, because once you do this, you'll be so focused and fired up that if you choose to do one thing, you can do that thing. You can do that thing. Also, you can do creative work, not just production work. But since I know that many people have trained their minds over the years, so many years, to go to beta brainwaves again and to just like feel overwhelmed again. That's why I say that's a trap. If you would keep everything in sight, not inside. Any more questions? Hocus pocus focus. Oh, nice one. Brainwaves, yes, Marike. It's so fascinating in the creative strategies for sensitive pirates. We go a lot into brainwaves. And this year, because I'm celebrating my 25th anniversary in food and design, with the creative strategies for sensitive pirates course, which is a 10 weeks course, I have added eight bonuses, which is 8 guided experiences. Maybe I'll just share my screen and show them to you. 8 guided experiences that you get for free with it, to help you to train your brain waves. Let's see, it's here. Is it here? This is it. Can you see this? So one of the things that you'll get is a guided experience for shame relief. I don't know if you've ever had that before, where, well, I think you do. Like something in the past has happened, and maybe you acted in a funny way, or maybe something happened that you now feel embarrassed about. And sometimes it takes years, and you still think back to that moment and you feel embarrassed. Do you recognize that? Do you have that sometimes? Let's see if I can see the chat. And this is so annoying, isn't it? And so this is a guided experience where you go back in time and change the things that make you feel embarrassed, so that in today's time, you're not bothered by it anymore. It's a super cool experience. I use it a lot on myself, and I have to tell you, it's fantastic. It works really well. Then number 2 is a guided experience perfectionist pulverizer, a powerful guided experience to relax the perfectionist inside you, so that, like, if you relax your perfectionist, finally you can bring out your powerful, uninhibited creator out. Number 3 is the amazing presenting presence, a guided experience to improve your presence in the room when you're presenting your work, which many creatives have to deal with presentations. Some have no issues with that, but I also know many people do. And so this is a guided experience that trains your mind to relax and not just do a good presentation, but to really rule the room when you're doing your presentation, not in an imposing kind of way, but more in a kind of relaxed way, so that even when you don't say things, you just radiate so much calmness that people will notice you. Number 4, getting unstuck and active, a great way to get moving if you feel stuck, struggle with procrastination, and just want to boost. Then the flow state stimulator helps you reaching a flow state effortlessly, so that you can work and play without distraction. Yeah, this is so cool, because working in flow is like the holy grail for creatives, right? Like we all want to work in flow because it just feels so good. So this is a guided experience where you get into the flow state, but where your mind is also trained to easily reach flow state in any other moment again. So I really like it. Clarity calling. Most issues people struggle with come from a lack of clarity. This guided experience help you to become crystal clear so you know exactly which steps to take in your creative work and in your life. I think clarity is something that some people have it naturally, but many people just feel like they're in the blur and they become doubtful, thinking, should I do that because people say that that's the right thing, or should I follow my heart? But I'm also scared to do that. So clarity can also, as a side effect, give you a lot of relaxation. Then there's the creativity booster. Remember those days you felt free to experiment and play in a boundless creative way. The creativity booster helps you to tap into your pure creative potential to inform your current projects with. And that's like we just did a very little bit of that just now, but this guided experience will really take you in that, so that you just know with a snap how to like also find creativity that you might have lost because you thought, well, I could never make money with that. But you might actually could, or you can also just take it out to just enjoy it, to become the person that is more full of creativity. And then the last one, which I think is so cool, is the time creator. And that sounds like a science fiction thing, right? The time creator. But, the thing is, time isn't really real. Though you might feel that your whole life is subjected to the concept of time, this guided experience helps you to disconnect from the false illusion of time restriction so you can experience more freedom in time. Wow, wouldn't that be amazing? The cool thing is that I have tried and tested all these things, and I know they work. And that's why I'm very confident here talking with you guys, because I just want people to experience this. So the Creative Strategies for Sensitive Pirates course starts on April 19th. You get one session sent to you so that you can see that session whenever feels suitable for you, so you don't have to come on live. And then one session a week is a live session. The sessions are at 5:30, so people from most time zones can join. It's 5:30 CEST PM. And so it's one live session where we will do also meditation practices and experiences. And then there is the recorded sessions that you get every week. And every week you get introduced to a new strategy, to a new mindset, and to a new tool. And then these 8 bonuses are 8 separate sessions that you just get with that. You get them sent in your inbox so you can experience them. And we will also have some extra Q&A so we can all talk about the experience. So what happens that if you do join, that you will join a Slack group. Slack, we used to use Facebook, but I don't really like that. So Slack is quite perfect for that. And this is a group where we can really start a band, because everybody will join the group. And during the week, you can also communicate in this group, share experiences, share your wins, share your struggles. It's really a great place. If you don't feel comfortable about becoming too personal, don't worry. You will never have to do that. But it's also great to know that there is a safe space where there are like-minded people who deal with the same issues, where you can talk about these things. And that is in our Slack group. I am also in that Slack group. And if you have questions, then I will also answer them as soon as possible. Right. One last thing that I need to share with you is that the price for this course has been the same since 2020. I never changed the investment. And I was thinking to do that, but I don't want to do it now because I want you guys to be able to jump on board for the old rate before I raise it this weekend. So you have a little time to think about it, and you also have the possibility to join for the old rate, because after the weekend, the investment is, what was it, 797 to join. For professionals, and for students, it will be 597 to join for students. So that is after the weekend. But right now you can still join for 597 for professionals and 397 for students. So I just wanted to give that to you guys, this opportunity to join for an accessible rate. But I think, eventually, if you think about like, what would it be worth for me to end those struggles, I would say it's really it's really accessible. I get so many emails from previous pirates who have had so many success with this on multiple levels, on personal levels, people dealing with a depression or complete standstill in their work life, and the Pirates course has helped them tremendously. And it's also a really nice community of people who just have fun together. Like, we will be talking about brainwaves, but it's not like it's a kind of, it's not like an esoteric kind of vague thing. We will be using meditation, and you will get guided experiences, but it's not like necessarily a highly spiritual kind of vague experience that you don't really grasp. Everything is very understandable and graspable, which is something that I really like personally. It's not that I am not a spiritual person, but I just really like it when things are understandable, so that the tools that you learn are something that you can then take on further in your life. So yeah, any questions, guys? Any last things that you would like to know or ask? Do you think this was useful for you? Kid says, but watch out, you might board a pirate ship. Well, Kid knows all about it, right? Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, I don't want to go over time too much because I think all of you have busy lives. I just want to say I really appreciate you for being here. If you know any sensitive pirates around you, someone like you, a friend, or a colleague who is also struggling with these issues, be sure to also let them know about this, because I am planning to get this into the creative community as much as I can, because honestly, I think that stress, overwhelm, procrastination is in fact unnecessary. And I'm not saying that it's your fault, but I am really dedicated to changing that. So thank you. And I hope to see you again. And I wish you a wonderful day. Bye.